Hello. This week, we explore embracing technology and technology in action and data analytics, touching on the application in audit, corporate, and client and learning opportunities. From Denver, Colorado, I'm Jim Gilbert, and these are just some of the topics we'll be exploring in this month's Tech Advisory episode of the Go Beyond Disruption podcast. Welcome, and thanks for making the podcast part of your day. It's brought to you by the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, the unified voice of the AICPA and CIMA. Every week, you'll get insights from inside the accounting and finance profession that you will help stay ahead of the curve, whatever your business and wherever you're based. I'm Jim Gilbert from Jim Gilbert CPA, where I'm the host and presenter. Our topic this week is Embrace Innovation, Technology in Action with Data Analytics. Over the past decade, advances in technology have kept CPAs and accounting professionals on their toes. They permeate the services we deliver, and there is no sign of them slowing down. Task-oriented projects that take up sizable amounts of time are now being automated, allowing CPAs to focus more on generating actionable insights and creating partnerships. To maintain our status as leaders and trusted business advisors, accountants must master these technology-specific hard skills, along with ever-relevant soft skills to communicate crucial insights to their employers and clients. Today, we delve into the technology in action with data analytics. And joining me are Chee, who will provide a public accounting perspective, and Maria Pollieri, who will provide a corporate perspective, and I will talk more about current client needs and learning opportunities. Welcome to both of you.
Thanks, Jim.
Would each of you tell us about yourself, where you're based, what kind of work you do, and how it connects with the accounting and finance profession? Let's start with you, Emily.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a senior manager in KPMG in Vancouver, Canada. I specialize in IT audits, data analytics, fraud and forensic investigations. I've been in this role for a while now, and I have been doing this kind of work for about over 11 years or so. And yeah, I feel that this definitely plays into the finance and accounting side, given how prominent technology is these days.
Thank you. Maria?
Thanks, Jim. I've focused my entire career at the intersection between enabling the finance profession with technology and, on the flip side, enabling IT with business value. My focus has been in the ERP space, and I've implemented, solutioned, designed, built, and supported many customers over my long career with Oracle. I'm recently retired. I live in Toronto, Canada, and I'm a volunteer with the AICPA as a member of the National Accreditation Committee with a focus on IT as a certified information technology professional.
Thank you, Maria. In my practice, I help my clients think about the lens of technology and how to stay ahead of the ever-changing technology curve. Embracing technology and obtaining data and providing to the entire organization is key to success and sustainability. Emily, why do you think today's topic is particularly important?
As I kind of mentioned, technology is so prominent. CPAs are not strictly just accounting anymore. There's strategy, there's decision making, there's analysis that needs to happen and understanding of the process. So I think today's topic is going to be valuable because companies and firms don't just want a straight CPA who only knows accounting and audit.
Maria, why do you think today's topic is particularly important?
I think it's a real win-win situation. I think it's a win for us as accounting professionals, right? It gets us out of the back office and, interacting with the business and providing value just more pervasively across an entire organization. And I think the companies benefit as well because we're best positioned to leverage this technology and provide that business value.
Thank you, Maria. Emily, we'll get started with you today. First question is, how could we have a better understanding of data analytics and additional technological skills? And how does that help the CPA profession overall?
Yeah, so there are lots of great resources out there for data analytics courses, especially with the remote environment. Lots of people can take courses from different international locations. And having these skill sets will definitely help enhance the CPA profession because gone are the days of using paper ledgers and physical hard copy documents. They're not prominent anymore. And so even a single journal entry can actually be really complex. And if you don't understand the technology or how to analyze that piece, then it causes problems essentially, because you're not fully understanding how your transactions and subsequently your financial statements are even being generated or prepared. There are lots of different processes nowadays where subledgers have a component and that feeds into an overall financial system. And there could be lots of potential risk points before that data is even hitting the target or end state. So CPAs have to be well-rounded in order to understand that full picture and able to identify these risk areas. Having that overall understanding of data and technology, it'll allow CPAs to better determine whether that data is reliable, allow for better interpretation of the data itself, and subsequently help with audit procedures, internal processes, optimization, and strategic decision-making, and things like that. In addition to having those pieces and understanding, CPAs can also then effectively communicate with other individuals of varying expertise. They're able to communicate their views and support with actual data, for example.
Given the prominence of cybersecurity, which is a lot of our favorite topics these days, how could data analytics technology assist a CPA in dealing with these kind of attacks?
Yeah, that's actually a really good point, because cybersecurity has been an issue for a lot of my clients. It's also a relatively broad term. The most common cybersecurity issue that I've seen and that my clients have been hit with is really ransomware. It's a collection of software used by hackers that locks access to servers or data folders until money is paid. It's effectively a ransom. From an audit perspective, there's definitely implications, because it usually means a control weakness existed somewhere that either allowed software to be installed or a compromised account that allowed hackers to gain access to the company's network. And data analytics can assist in these types of situations, because it can help organizations detect it and respond to it quickly, or it can subsequently be used to prevent these attacks by continuous monitoring or earlier detection in the future. So, for example, if an organization logs the access history of user accounts and their activities, analytics can be used to review these logs and identify unauthorized or fraudulent or suspicious activities. The data sets can then be used as training data for machine learning and artificial intelligence, and that can then be automated. So you don't have to hire a CPA or an IT person to sit there and review manually every day, for example. But the one thing to keep in mind is, even if you use those data sets to feed machine learning and AI, it will still require human intervention in order to adapt to the evolving cybersecurity threats, since hackers are going to be way more creative in the future. And it will essentially be cost effective in the future as well if you are able to automate that with just, minor human interventions. As for how machine learning and AI might help with improving overall profitability, I'll let Maria speak to that one.
Maria, as a segue into this topic of data analytics in a corporate environment, why is data analytics one of the key tools for business?
For me, the first thing that comes to mind when I hear that question is, based on the background that I just shared with you, is ERP, right? So that's where my passion is. And I'm not changing the subject, but I think the reason that it's top of mind is because the amount of innovation that's now available in the off-the-shelf financial systems, it's really so impressive. And all the technology companies, they're really laser focused on delivering automation, financial insights. And, they're doing that via workflows, alerts, dashboards. I mean, I could go on. But really the key message here is that if you're in corporate accounting or finance and you're feeling overwhelmed at the idea of freeing up time from your quote unquote day job, then you may just be falling behind in the uptake of some of these features that will allow you to focus on what I think is a much more important task, right? Which is the data analysis. So having a smooth running ERP system is the foundation. I think it's super important. And as accounting professionals, we really appreciate doing things in right order. So I just, I wanted to start with that. Data analysis, is it good for business? So absolutely, right, Jim? Organizations, they're being flooded with data from all directions at a time really when staying ahead in the market depends on how quick you can access the data across the various teams within the enterprise and just the ecosystem at large, and enriching it to obtain accurate and deeper insights about things like your customers and your competitors. And then from a timeline perspective, what's happened in the past, what's happening now, and what I think most importantly is, what the future holds. And I think we can all agree that with the volume of data, this is really a difficult task. And I think to really understand where to begin, you really need to understand some of the key complications. So I think there's key nuggets of insights that are nowadays just more and more manifested in semi-structured and unstructured data sources. So before I get too technical, let's just walk through a simple example. So the example is the data set that we're going to start with is a customer feedback survey, and that survey resides in a cloud application at your company. Your first reaction may be, okay, I think I want to export the results into a spreadsheet so that I can analyze it in a structured way. That may not work because the schema may be variable depending on how the survey was designed, right? It has tentacles and it takes the survey participants in a whole bunch of different directions. So that's a challenge, trying to put structure to it. Or you may have to reach out to an IT person within your organization that has export access, and that person may not be available to either build or run a routine or an export for you. So just a couple very basic challenges. Now, even if you were able to get past those hurdles, what about things like context and nuance and idiom? So an expression that somebody may put in the customer survey is, "We are over the moon." Well, from a data analytic perspective, over the moon, is that good or is that bad? And what about sarcasm? So these are additional things to consider. And I haven't even woven into this conversation unstructured data that's sourced from the plethora of Internet of Things or IoT sensors that capture tiny bits of data. Now, even if you are able to get your hands around all this corporate domain data, the insights really don't start to crop up until you mash up, and mash up is a techie term for overlay. So until you overlay non-corporate data on top. So for example, if you're a retailer, did you know that you can access open data sources that map traffic or weather or crime? So, now hopefully I'm not making you feel overwhelmed, because the good news is that the data analytic platforms, they really have your back, right? They've thought through all of these challenges and they're constantly maturing around all the key concerns that are specific to the usual topics like security, flexibility, reliability, and of course, speed.
Thank you, Maria. Why are we as accounting professionals best positioned to meet that need?
Well, Jim, I think really we're pioneers in this area, right? Since we already work with data and we work with data analytic outputs to assess business performance. And most importantly, let's not forget that we're the only ones who analyze within a framework of accounting principles and methods. So inherently, we're at a huge advantage over all the other professions. And that's a historical perspective. But I think even more importantly, as accounting professionals, we embrace uncertainty, right? We're skilled at agility and we're trained at managing risk. So I think these attributes are all inherent in all of our years of training, and they best position us for success, right? We just need to muster up the confidence to roll up our sleeves and really begin somewhere. So again, some good news here too, right? So if I were to go back 10 years ago, venturing into data analytics, when this was all starting to evolve, it meant familiarizing yourself with algorithms and code and data science, but not so much today. Nowadays, the solutions are designed with built-in self-service and usability really at the forefront. So unlocking the true value of analyzing the data, that's really, where we're best positioned. And how do we do this? So Jim, I'm going to turn it over to you. But before I do that, I just want to leave you with a few parting words. I think the key message for me that I want to share with everybody is that, don't be afraid to embrace digital technologies. Be proactive, automate those traditional transactional work tasks, and invest in those new skill sets to provide the analytical insights and just the strategic guidance that management needs to adopt these new digital business models and really a way of working as well. So
totally agree with you. In my practice, the question always comes up of, what are you seeing? What are companies doing? What are corporations doing? So I work with lots and lots of companies, of one-person organizations to hundreds of millions of dollars of organizations. And everybody's moving to data and dashboards and some of the things that Emily and Maria have talked about. It's kind of a mainstay nowadays, especially after the COVID era. We're still in it, is how do I get data to folks? And I see a lot of organizations turning over to Power BI and Tableau as kind of the front end of their companies for data reporting and analysis and all that. And we are no longer solely relying on our ERP sources and data and reports and all the different systems. We're relying on data analytics and the front end dashboards. People are now looking at API connections, integration, and bidirectional data to transmit and process data. Companies are trying to get to the three levels of data: descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive. If I can aggregate my data and look at and use with data analytics to try to help me make decisions and help decision makers with the data they've already got, I've accumulated historically, that's really first class. Many of the CFOs and controllers and staff people I look at today are begging for information. So people are now leveraging data analytics and the tool that it provides to provide information and help automate some of the transactions and the workflows. Instead of hiring that next accounts payable person or receivable person, I see people hiring what I call a BIS position, a business information system position, and repurposing employees. Employees are becoming less manual task oriented and more using the data analytics tools and processing data. The second question I get often is, let's say I've been in accounting for 10 years and I've never used these kind of skills and I don't know how to do these. Where do I start, Jim? I got one this morning and the question was from a controller. He's like, well, my company uses Power BI and that's where all the reporting goes. And I told them, well, let's get started. It's not a heavy lift, as Maria and Emily will talk about. Many industry groups nowadays are focusing on data analytics and Power BI and Tableau and all the different vendors that are out there. I personally learned under Udemy. There's Udacity, Coursera. There's a lot of inexpensive training that people can get for these type of skill sets. Numbers of hours for very inexpensive pricing. Colleges and universities are teaching this. Their IS groups are teaching this more and more. And so these are short burst classes and trainings that you can get. And, learning the basics of like a Power BI tool, which transcends into many of the other tools. If you learn one tool, the basics, they kind of transcend into many of the other tools. Understanding the basics will allow you to traverse and get into the data analytics world. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, process automation. How does Power Automate work or Power Forms? How do those things work? Spend a little bit of time, subscribe and learn about the changing world, and don't be afraid to take on these new skills. It's no different than anything else that comes in during your work career. It's like, I have to learn something new. Well, you can do these in a kind of a micro learning set and kind of learn at a self-pace. You don't have to go to college. You don't have to do any of that kind of stuff. As I tell my clients, we're doing data before we're doing construction, for example. We're mining and aggregating and managing our data, where it's almost like we're a technology company doing construction. And that's the foundation of what drives success and allows business leaders to make those decisions. Emily, can you give us some recommendation for how accounting and finance professional CPAs can look at additional resources for this topic?
Yeah, Jim, you mentioned some great ones like Udemy, there's Codecademy, there's a whole bunch of platforms now out there that do help not just accounting professionals, but any individual that really wants to understand data a little bit more, whether it's what are tables, what are keys, primary foreign keys, relational databases, things like that. Like the basics are all out there, and there's lots of different organizations as well that provide these kind of training sessions or mini webinars. So AICPA definitely is one of them. CPA Canada is another one. But there's lots of different organizations. So speaking of AICPAs, there is a webinar on May 19th, 2021 for the listeners who might be interested that will go into more detail the stuff that Maria and I, and yourself, Jim, as well, covered today.
Thank you. Maria, do you have further information about some sources for people to look into this topic?
Yeah, the 3 resources that I wanted to share, I've made available in the podcast notes. So they're URLs based on, where you want to take things around data analytics. So if you are a accounting professional student and you're looking at a career and you're doing some career planning, the site is thiswaytocpa.com, and there is a landing page there that's specific to accounting is technology. So that's a good place to start for all of the budding new accountants out there that are interested in learning more. For general information, it's future.aicpa.org. And again, right, multiple topics, and technology is a key part of that microsite. And then if you're considering an advanced career, we do have a certified information technology professional accreditation as well. So AICPA.org/CITP, which is the subset of the accounting profession that focuses on technology.
Thank you very much. Well, before we end today, Emily and Maria, do you have any final thoughts?
I learned a lot just listening, Jim, to you and what Emily had to share. So, we're never done learning. And I'm just, so appreciative of the amount of collaboration that happens within our profession. It keeps us all moving forward. So thank you for allowing me to be a participant in today's podcast.
Yeah, I echo that sentiment as well. And data is just going to keep getting bigger. So it's definitely a great topic these days, and how it interacts with all the rest of technology and the rest of the world and other departments, not just accounting. So yeah, great insights here from everyone as well.
I'm fascinated by the advancement of data analytics in the last 12 months, right? And everybody kind of working from home, and how data analytics is a premier tool. It's amazing how much power and how much leverage you can get off data analytics and all the information that's provided by those tools. It's amazing. And so I think it's kind of a new awakening. Like, wow, I can use these tools. It's not hard to use. It's not hard to hook up. And it kind of grows. And I've learned even my own experience. I learned a little bit, and I learned a little bit more. And then before you know, it's like I can operate, and I can work over into Tableau. I can work in some other tools, and it's not such a big lift. So it's not a big, scary a monster out there. So it's a great field and something to aspire to. Whether you're a new aspiring CPA or been in industry for multiple years, it's really great. And that's it for this month's special tech advisory edition of Go Beyond Disruption podcast. Thank you to my co-presenters, Maria Pollieri and Emily Chee. If you'd like to connect with them, we'll put their profile links into our show notes. That's where you'll also find further information and links about technology in action and data analytics, including the online resources we mentioned during our discussion. Remember to have a look at our archive of back episodes too. You can find them wherever you already get your podcasts or your music, or simply go to gobeyonddisruption.com. Finally, we'd always recommend browsing the new AICPA and CIMA portal too at future.aicpa.org. That's future.aicpa.org. From Denver, Colorado, I'm Jim Gilbert. Till next time, keep listening and keep safe. Goodbye for now.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Beyond Disruption, brought to you by the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants. Learn more about today's topic at AICPA-CIMA beyonddisruption. This podcast is designed to provide illustrative information with respect to the subject matter covered and does not represent an official opinion or position of the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants or any of its subsidiaries or affiliates. It is provided with the understanding that the association, its affiliates, and subsidiaries are not engaged in rendering legal, accounting, or other professional services. If such advice or expert assistance is required, the services of a competent professional person should be sought. The association, its subsidiaries, and affiliates make no representations, warranties, or guarantees as to and assume no responsibility for the content or application of the material contained herein and expressly disclaim all liability for such damages arising out of the use of, reference to, or reliance on such material.